You know, there are places on Earth that are so vast, so diverse, they really challenge our idea of what a country is. They feel like, well, like something more, almost like a collection of worlds all held together under a single flag. And that brings us to Brazil.
So it really makes you ask the question, is Brazil a country, or is it basically a continent unto itself? To even begin to understand this place, you have to grapple with a scale that feels, well, it feels almost geological, and a diversity that's nearly planetary.
So let's start with the land itself, because calling Brazil a country just feels like an understatement. Really, it's more like a natural empire, one that was forged by these epic, powerful forces of nature.
Just think about its unique address on the globe for a second. Brazil is the only nation on the entire planet that is crossed by both the equator and the Tropic of Capricorn. Now, that's not just some trivia fact, it's the master key. It's the one thing that unlocks its absolutely staggering diversity of climates.
The sheer scale of it's almost impossible to wrap your head around. We're talking 8.5 million square kilometers. That's nearly half of the entire South American continent, a landmass so huge it actually borders every other nation on the continent except for just two. By any measure, this is a land of continental proportions.
And all that space means Brazil isn't just one environment. It's this incredible mosaic of entire worlds. You've got the Amazon, literally the lungs of our planet. But then you also have the sprawling savannas of the Cerrado, the unbelievably diverse Atlantic forest, the world's largest wetland in the Pantanal, and then the southern plains that give birth to the thunderous power of Iguazu Falls. Each one of those is an ecosystem so massive it could swallow many other nations whole.
But of course, a land of this scale isn't just defined by its geography. It's defined by the people. And the story of Brazil's population is every bit as complex and layered as its landscapes. It is, truly, a great human mosaic.
The path through the Brazil we know today was full of these massive transformations. It all started back in 1500 with the arrival of the Portuguese, which kicked off 3 centuries of colonization. Then, in 1822, it broke away to become this vast, independent empire. And then again, in 1889, a military coup brought in the republic that still exists today. Every single step forged a new layer of its identity.
And you can see that complicated history written right on the faces of its people. The 2022 census shows a nation where no single group is in the majority. In fact, the largest group identifies as Pardo, which is a term that really speaks to a mixed heritage, a reflection of centuries of fusion between European, African, and indigenous peoples. That demographic reality is the very soul of the nation.
So how do you even begin to unite a nation this monumental, this diverse? Well, the official aspiration is stamped right there on its flag, Ordem e Progresso, order and progress. It's a deceptively simple motto for an incredibly complex society.
But what's the engine that drives that progress? Well, that brings us to Brazil's economy, an absolute powerhouse for sure, but one that's also defined by its stark contradictions and its extremes. When it comes to feeding the world, Brazil is an undisputed giant. I mean, it's not just a major producer, it is the #1 global source for coffee, for soybeans, and for sugarcane. The country's farms are a critical engine for the entire planet's food supply.
And yet, this is the core paradox of Brazil. On one hand, you have this immense economic might, one of the world's largest economies. But on the other hand, you have the harsh social reality of deep inequality. A Gini index of 51.6 puts it among the most unequal societies on Earth. It really reveals the staggering gap between the rich and the poor. It's like a nation of two Brazils, existing right next to each other.
And all of this leads us to a final thought on the soul of this nation and what its path forward looks like. We come right back to that motto, order and progress. But is the country actually achieving both?
The soul of Brazil is really a testament to fusion. It's this vibrant, pulsing culture forged where continents met, European, African, and indigenous traditions all blending together. You can feel it in the explosive energy of Carnival, and you can see it in the bold, futuristic lines of Oscar Niemeyer's modernist architecture in Brasilia. It's just a culture of boundless creativity.
Which leaves us with one final big question. For a country that has such immeasurable natural wealth, such a vibrant and diverse people, and just so much possibility, what does real progress actually look like next? The answer to that question is going to define the future of this world in one country.